All right, everybody, welcome to chapter 9 of 11 chapters plus a conclusion. So we're getting near the end. We just got about 3 of these left, maybe 4 if we count the conclusion chapter. So here we are talking about receiving and storage, which is usually the first step of our HACCP, our food management plan, is the receiving and putting it away to make sure it's protected. So how products are handled when they're received and stored determines their condition and longevity until they're used. Improper receiving and storage can lead to significant losses and insufficient use of space and transport, which can cause shortages in inventory and a lot of spoilage and waste, as well as increasing your costs. Proper receiving and storage help to maintain food safety and prevent foodborne illnesses by making sure that everything is maintained at the proper temperatures for the right amount of time and the stock is rotated appropriately. Here we're going to address the key criteria and procedures that help mitigate the spread of pathogens through the storage and receiving end of the operation. So when you're receiving products, all products should be inspected and verified for their condition and their source to make sure that they're free from physical damage, pest activity, etc. We want to watch for signs of spoilage and to ensure that the order is complete as well. That way you can make sure that you're not going to lose out on the cost of the product and you don't have to send anything back. The careful inspection can prevent contaminated goods from entering the food premise, as well as covering the facility in the event of a dispute arising with the distributor. Another critical component of the receiving process is checking that the food hasn't been taken out of temperature during delivery or travel. Delivery vehicles should have refrigerated compartments where necessary, and they should be checked regularly and upon arrival at all the destinations, and then again once they get to the next destination. They should be equipped with the temperature log as well, so that you can keep track of what the temperatures were doing throughout the whole transportation process. Foods that require refrigeration or freezing should be rejected if they arrive outside of their safe temperature zone or frozen food is a little bit soft. That means it started to thaw and you will have allowed bacteria to start to grow. And that poses a significant risk to the public health, as we discussed before, keeping that food out of the temperature danger zone between 4 degrees and 60. You should try to keep detailed records of all incoming shipments, and these records should be kept, including the information about the suppliers and the results of any inspections or any damaged goods received. They should be kept for about 5 years, maybe longer if you feel like you need to, or if there might be a dispute. The records help with traceability, and they help enable quick action and fast access to information if there's ever an investigation or a foodborne outbreak, or again, a dispute with your suppliers. Your storage conditions should be appropriate to the type of food and non-food item that you're handling. So your room temperature foods like dry goods, refrigerated goods like produce, meats, frozen goods such as desserts and frozen meats, each have a different set of storage needs and requirements that should be maintained. Differentiating these needs is crucial to inhibiting the growth of pathogens. For example, deli meats stored at temperatures above 4 degrees Celsius could become contaminated with listeria, which then emphasizes that they need proper refrigeration. Dry goods should be stored on shelves in a clean, dry, well-ventilated space, and they should be stored in sealed and covered containers to prevent access by pests, and again, raised up to 15 centimeters off the floor, just so you can inspect underneath, clean underneath, and prevent the pests from climbing up on top of your products. And freezers, again, should be maintained at minus 18 degrees Celsius, and the food inside should be kept solid. Your room temperature storage spaces are most appropriate for your canned goods or dry goods or any other foods that don't require immediate refrigeration. These foods should be stored in hard, covered, and sealed containers made of a non-porous material so that the contents can be protected from pest entry or spoilage from moisture or air. The area should be also kept raised off the floor, just again to make inspecting and cleaning a lot easier. Your refrigerated space should really never be without proper temperature control, obviously. You should always make sure the thermometer is working. Perishable foods are more susceptible to the growth of pathogens like Listeria, Salmonella, and E. coli. In 2017, there was a severe listeriosis outbreak. It was traced back to dairy products that had been stored at unsafe refrigeration temperatures in the supermarket setting. So refrigerating only slows growth, and it doesn't kill pathogens present. Frozen food in freezers should be maintained at 18 degrees Celsius, minus 18 degrees Celsius at all times. The temperatures, if they go out of control or rise, the food should be thoroughly thawed out and used almost immediately. Think of in terms of a power outage or a malfunction. As soon as your food starts to thaw, you need to cook it completely, and then you can refrigerate or freeze whatever has been cooked. Temperatures should be monitored and verified with a thermometer at all times, and the freezers should be defrosted on a regular basis, and arrangements should be made to have food stored off-site. Essentially, items should generally be raised off the floor and kept on racks in the fridge. The way these racks are organized should always be so that your least hazardous food is on the top and your most hazardous food is on the bottom. So generally you want to arrange things so that produce is up at the top and any meats or ready-to-eat foods that are not going to drip down on anything else should be on the food shelf below, just below. And any of your meats or anything that has the potential to drip and cross-contaminate other foods should be kept on the lower racks. So this all goes along with keeping food up off the floor and storing it appropriately at the appropriate levels in your fridge. So least contaminating, top shelf should be produce and lettuces. Shelf below should be your ready-to-eat foods and anything that's been prepared. Shelf below should be anything that's semi-hazardous. And then the bottom shelf should be your most hazardous foods. So then that prevents them from dripping on anything else. And if your shelves are raised 15 centimeters off the floor, it allows you to take your mop and your broom and sweep underneath and take care of any messes from any dripping. Again, we're going to get into this, as we just talked about, proper organization of your storage room. The organized storage system reduces the risk of cross-contamination, and it keeps your storage areas neat. So, again, we're going to make sure that our least contaminating food at the top shelf, next least contaminating food on the shelf below, your semi-contaminating foods like your beef or your pork and your whole meats on the shelf just below that, and then your most dangerous foods like your chicken, your raw chicken, can be right down there on the bottom. So anything that will drip down near the bottom and anything that needs to be kept safe up near the top. Temperature-controlled rooms and compartments should be monitored using accurate thermometers to ensure food is stored within regulatory limits and on an ongoing basis. So in meat processing facilities, for example, temperatures are usually maintained at refrigeration temperatures through the whole room, and that minimizes the amount of time a product is kept out of the danger zone. So if the whole room is a refrigerator, then your food is being refrigerated as you're preparing it, and it's not sitting there in the danger zone. The same is true for a refrigerator having meats inside and ready-to-eat foods. So recording thermometers and regular temperature checks and temperature logs and calibration of thermometers all help to maintain your proper control on an ongoing basis. All of your containers should be labeled with dates and stored according to best before dates or marked with the date of preparation clearly visible. Containers should be made of a hard material that's food grade, easy to clean, and dishwasher safe. And the primary concern is the elimination of the lures of pests and your protection from the environmental contamination. Stock should be rotated and overstocking should be avoided. This can enter the airflow and air circulation. If everything's jammed up near the top, the air's not going to make its way down to the bottom and you're going to have hot spots and cold spots. So that leads to warming of some cases and contributes to spoilage and bacteria growth. So facilities which regularly rotate inventory often experience improved food quality and a lot less waste. So if you take care to over ordering and keep your regular inventory minimal as possible. It'll help you eliminate waste and also make your area less cluttered and easier to work in. And one of the primary focuses of this kind of practice is the FIFO, or the first in, first out principle. Essentially, implementing a first in, first out FIFO principle means that your older inventory is going to be moved to the front of the shelf and your newer inventory is put at the back of the shelf. You see it a lot of the time in grocery stores where your best before dates are going to be up near your more oncoming dates are going to be near the front, and they put their newer stock at the back so that you're using the newer stuff first and it doesn't go bad. It's particularly effective in high volume food service operations where there could be a lot of different people working and no one really knows what thing came in what day. So having your shelf stocked in a way where as soon as the food comes in, the old stuff is pulled off the shelves, the new stuff put on, and the old stuff put back on at the front, it really helps you to cut down on waste and helps keep everyone on the same page. Um, so proper receiving and storage practices form the foundation of food safety in almost any facility. The initial inspection of goods upon delivery is vital in verifying the quality and preventing contamination. Once it's in, it should be recorded as received and in good condition. All the food should be put in its appropriate room. Um, Old stock should be rotated to the front, and new stock should be rotated to the back. And one point we forgot to mention that is crucial is the day dotting and putting some kind of indicating mark on products, just to make sure that each staff member knows when something was made or when it has to be thrown out. So you're not wasting product or you're not serving old product. And that also goes on to discarding, or goes with discarding old used products right away so that they don't get put out into the public.